Hi, I am Chirag and we are from Making in India, a regular podcast on Indian startups. We are on a quest to connect with people and entrepreneurs who are really making in India. It is to bring out insights and stories from the people who are grilling it out in India and making in India of your dreams. Today we have Gaurav Jhonsa, an entrepreneur, a cricket enthusiast, and a very straight shooter. Thank you, Gaurav, for coming to our show.
Which are for him.
Yes. So, Gaurav, please tell me something about your company. When did you start? What do you actually do?
So we are in the manufacturing field. We specialize in engineering goods for the flow process industry. Things that are used in the pressure vessels, heat exchangers, column internals. We manufacture wire mesh and mist eliminators. And I have my plant in Umargaon. We just shifted to Umargaon 3-4 months back, and my office is in Bombay. And we cater to major refineries, OEMs. Those are our main clients. And I started back in 2009, April of 2009, with this setup. And right now we have one factory of around 6-7 people and a few machines that we have built in Umargaon.
Right. So, tell me, Gaurav, how did it start? What made you come into this field of wire meshes?
My father belongs to the same field, so he was a partner at a company who also specialized in similar products, not the same ones, but a similar product range. From my childhood, I've seen him do this stuff. I used to visit the factory with him a lot, so I don't know, I was very fascinated by how things work, how machines work, what makes things go around, and I think that kind of piqued my interest in this field. My education was one of the reasons. I've done my mechanical engineering, and I was always inclined towards that field. And the other thing was that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? So I think it's just a coming together of all the things that made me what I am.
So, tell me about your upbringing, your childhood. How was it like?
My father has always been an entrepreneur. Like I said, that he was a partner at a factory, and he was a partner with his sister, and they started the business in 1974. My grandfather also had a business which was completely different. He was into sari printing. So I think that you can call it running in the blood, or probably seeing all my elders around me being entrepreneurs, that kind of pushed us to do what we are doing right now. We had a very normal childhood, very pleasant childhood. We are a very close-knit family. Grew up on stories about my grandparents' childhood, their parents' childhood, how things are different generation-wise when it comes to my father's upbringing, my grandfather's upbringing, our upbringing. A very normal and a very simple childhood.
Right. And you went to the US to pursue your masters. And a lot of people don't actually come back to form a company of their own. So tell me about what made the decision for you to come back to India.
I was very firm that I always wanted to have a factory setup of my own. I think I was also very firm about working in India, because that's where I spent most of my life before going to the US. And I always thought that the entrepreneur ease is going to be greater in India. The US was a completely different territory. The reason I went to the US was because all my education was in the technical field, and I wanted some kind of commercial education in the commercial field, right? So I did my master's in business administration there. I wanted to do for the countries, do something for the country, for the country's economy, and I thought that if we were to use our skill set and our brains, might as well do it for our own country, right? So I think that was the only incentive at that point in time.
Tell me about the influence of your parents and grandparents on your upbringing.
My father is a very honest man, and so was my grandfather. I think that I have always looked up to them as my mentors, as my inspirations when it comes to close family. For every kid, their father is always going to be their first superhero, and I was no different. I have seen my grandfather and my father being respected everywhere because they were so honest, so morally upright. the way my grandfather conducted himself around his workplace, his adversaries, his contemporaries, and even with family. He was a very, very straightforward person. So was my father. I have always seen them take the right path. There have been instances where common sense would say to take the easier path out, but my family never did that, and I think that left a very, very deep impact on me. Eventually, when the dust settles down, you kind of do feel that there was an easier way out and we should have taken it. But my father always keeps saying one thing, that if you can sleep peacefully at night, there is no bigger thing in this world. And everything that I do right from the morning ensures that I can sleep peacefully at night and I have no regrets. So I think that he lived his life on that motto, and that kind of just passed down to me.
Coming back to the point of your studies, your MBA in the US, most of the people and most of us who go to the US, they intend to work there, or maybe even if some of them want to come back to India, it is only after a certain time when they have you know spent some time over there. You said you were clear about coming back to India, but you would have your peers and friends who are still working there. What's your take on them? How do you look at that?
Well, as far as coming back is concerned, I think that I was very clear about it right from the start, that I'm going to come back. I'm going to start a business of my own. I was never too inclined to seek a job. I was open to an internship. In fact, I worked with the school itself. I got promoted there in 6 or 7 months as well. But there was never a long-term thought about it. In fact, my father always wanted me to work there for a couple of years before coming back, but I somehow believe that if I put in efforts for anything, I should be able to bear the fruit of it. And if I goof up, then it's my goof up. It's okay. I will take it in my stride. And I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just couldn't fathom the fact that I will have to be answerable to someone apart from my clients for anything that is happening in my life. I also caught a lucky break before my graduation, where a guy from Florida contacted me and he wanted a certain fabrication done. He had tried India, Hong Kong, Bhutan, Pakistan and China, but his things were not working. So he sent me a sample of what he wanted to be made, plus some advance money, right? And he told me that, if you can make this, this will be a lifetime opportunity for the both of us and we will be making a lot of money. I was just 25. I was hungry. At that point in time, I thought that I hit jackpot, because the first advance payment was also a substantial amount for me. So immediately after coming back, I worked on that product for a good 6-7 months, developed the whole thing, sent him 4 lots of samples, where he sent us corrections and everything, and the 4th lot got approved. So at that point also, I was very, very happy. I had kind of invested some of the money that I had saved into that product as well, because it took a longer time than we anticipated. But once it was approved and we got the papers on track, I thought that this is going to be a jackpot. Unfortunately, that guy just scoot. There has been no response from his end since then. We have still a lot of pending dues with him, which we tried getting in touch with, but unfortunately, whatever the reasons, he just scooped.
So 8 months of product development, 8 months of designing, research, fabrication, all down the drain.
Not down the drain, right? It gave me life experiences. It taught me how much to trust people. It taught me that if things that cannot be done by someone else can be done by you, it's a different high. So I wouldn't call that going down the drain, because that was the first challenge of my life, and the very fact that I could come out of it successfully as far as the product design was concerned was a big thing for me at that point in time. Yes, it pinched me that a lot of my money was unkept for, but I wouldn't trade it for the lessons that I got, right? And I think it helped me shape myself as whatever I am today, because today when new challenges come up in my field of work, I don't have to go too far back for inspiration, and I always keep telling myself that if I could do it when I was just starting out, maybe this is even a bigger opportunity. It's like your first car, right? It was my first job, so I will always be having fond memories of it. And the very fact that it opened up so many avenues for me, it opened up so many things for me. I used to travel alone, go to different people to get my machining done, learn so much about new machines, whatever's going on in the industry. I used to go to fabricators. I worked shifts with the fabricators myself. I don't think I can trade those experiences for anything in this life, and I don't think that would come easy to me if I was not working for someone else, right? So I'm very happy with whatever happened. If it would have materialized, maybe it would have been something huge, but nevertheless, the lessons have always been there.
So, I mean, go deeper on this. You had your first order. You were starting on your entrepreneurship journey, and your first order gets, cancelled, or your 8 months of efforts goes to, almost zero. Right now, obviously, you can say it was good learnings, but how did you manage it at that point of time? People quit for even less than this.
Right. No, I would be lying if I say that there was no disappointment at that point in time. There was also anger. There's also that feeling of being cheated. But eventually it settles down, right? After that happened, and between the time I started my own company, there was a gap of 6-7 months, wherein I dabbled into a lot of things with a lot of family members, and it kind of just reinstated the fact that I am meant for engineering goods manufacturing. I tried my hand at t-shirt business, the printing business, and everything. I tried a lot of things, right? But it just brought me back again. And sometimes, the universe works in your favor. So when I was just about to realign my entire career as far as entrepreneurship was concerned, I got connected with a joint venture between Australian company and an Indian company. The company is Asher Locker. So that's my first client, official client, with an invoice. And I met the then CEO of the company, Mr. Chris. He had a very similar background to mine. He was about 10 years senior to me, but we connected on a very friendly level. And he kind of also consciously or subconsciously pushed me towards doing what I was doing, right? And I think that sometimes, things just fall in place when they are meant to be, and that is what happened in my case also. So when I met him, he wanted a few things made in the wire mesh industry. He was looking for someone he could trust. He was looking for someone who would not give up on him. And our thinking also matched. We had a lot of confidence in each other. Since he was Australian, I think that my education made more sense to him than it would to an Indian businessman already in the field. And there was a very smooth transition for me at that point in time. And I started my business then, and here I am.
Wait. So you said your source of inspiration of your morals has been, your father and your grandfather. Any other people or any other people in your circle whom you look for, for inspiration or for your knowledge purposes?
Of course. So if you're looking at personalities, then I am awed by Mr. Tata, Mr. Ratan Tata. I think that the very fact that that guy can be so simple after being one of the richest guys in the world, being so philanthropic in nature, being an industrialist, that's something that I look up to every single day. If I can even reach 10% of what he has done in his life, I would consider myself very lucky, but in all aspects, not just the money wise. Then, of course, there is a closer group with friends. I have friends who are part of startups, who have gone through the grind and now are very, very successful in their own fields. I have friends who belong to the engineering field but have taken up jobs in another field and are highly successful right now. So for me, all those are my sources of inspiration for different things. My parents are my source of inspiration for personal things, or how There are things that I would not let go of, which my parents have.
So, talking about pro choices, coming to your organization and your field of work, I think in your journey of 15 years, you would also have to make some really tough choices which could have, made you a lot of wealth on one side, or make you grow your business, or make a name for yourself, and choices that you would have not taken. So, how do you go about that? How do you, work?
Unfortunately, in our country, a lot of underhanded things happen, right? And whether we like it or not, right from childhood, we have been taught a simple thing like breaking a signal, हवालदार को पैसा दे दो निकल जाओ. I think it's just wired into us right from childhood, right? It's time to change, and I think the change will happen one person at a time. I have faced this dilemma in my business as well, where kickbacks are asked for, or you match the lowest quotation, and you don't have to worry about the quality of the product. You can deliver a half-baked product, but a few days earlier than the other guy. All these are choices and options that come across to us probably twice, thrice a week, even today. But I've been very adamant that I will not compromise on quality no matter what. This is a choice that I've made, and I'm okay living with it. It does mean not having the kind of voluminous work that I would like to do, but it also means sleeping peacefully at night. So I made a choice.
So tell me about some setbacks or some roadblocks which you had in your journey of 15 years. You obviously know that your start was not a good one, but apart from that, any other setbacks that you faced?
Yes. So before I had rented a place of my own, I used to work out of my father's unit, and my machines and everything were placed in my father's unit. I distinctly remember it was my first export order with a company in France, and it was the 17th of September 2012, right? If I'm not mistaken, that was Akshay Tirtya in India, and a Sunday. I just rented out my premises in Bhiwandi, so we had a Kumbh Puja at Bhiwandi, and for my first order on the 13th of September, their quality inspector from France had come and inspected the whole thing, approved the whole thing, sealed and packed everything, and stamped it. It was supposed to leave on the 21st of September because the guy was going to fly back on 15th or 16th, make arrangements, and then pick the material up. On the 12th, on the 17th, because of some dispute between the landlord and the banks and the government, the rented premise was sealed, and the government sealed the premises, so we could not take anything out of it. It went on, it's still going on actually. So it's been 12 years, it's still sealed. But at that point in time, obviously you are hopeful that it will open in 2 months, it will open in 3 months, and we used to keep going back and forth with the client saying that, give us an opportunity, because that was a very big order for me at that point in time. It was my biggest order in 2012 in 3 years of my business, right? So I was really keen that that material leave. Also a lot of money was involved because I had a lot of raw material bought out and I had to pay my vendors, right? Nothing happened, unfortunately, and even after them understanding what is going on, we sending them videos, pictures, all the proofs of the seal and everything. Eventually, after 5-6 months, they gave up on us and they blacklisted me. The same thing happened with me with an Indian company called Blue Star, right? So I was a vendor for them. We developed products for them, and we used to regularly work with them. But because of this situation, we were blacklisted in that company as well. So yeah, but then it's part of the job, right? Sometimes you do come across situations which are not in your control. So obviously you have the flight or fight response to it, but when you are out of options for both the things, you find a third way of survival. And that's what happened, because I don't believe in giving up, and if it happened for a reason. I believe that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? At that point in time, it was a huge setback. It was a very big amount for me. There were sleepless nights, to be very fair. Uh, there were uh, there were times when I was so blank that I did not know what would happen. But then eventually you start moving on in life. You start looking at things which are under your control. You start concentrating on other jobs. You start concentrating on other business, and you kind of step back one step at a time and look at the other side. So that's how it is.
So, it's been a long journey, 15 years into this business. Uh, you know, how do you look back when if you're standing today, how would you look back to Mr. Gaurav of 2009?
Uh,
So, if you had to say something to Mr. Gaurav who's in 2009, what would you say to him?
be more articulate, maybe. Uh, don't trust people unless they've earned your trust, uh, but not in a very negative way, because like I said, that all the setbacks that I had in my life have always been learning experiences, right? I don't think I would have learned whatever I learned without those setbacks. So if trusting 100 people gave me two bad people, I still won 98 people, and I look back in that way. So if I could go back in time, those are the two instances where I would tell myself that just remove all the material and keep it outside. But apart from that, I don't think I have anything to change, because as far as my journey is concerned, everything that happened was because I made a certain choice. Whether I benefited from it or learned from it, uh, it was both for me. So that's okay. It just it like the setback that happened in 2012, at that point in time it felt like I could never come out of it. About 15-17 months after that, when everything was paid off for with my vendors, I could look at the other side and I'm like, wow, I could take this setback at such a stage in my career. It means that if something was to happen tomorrow, I'll be better prepared for it.
So, Gaurav, one thing that really strikes me out, I mean, you are a pro-choice guy, and I think the sense of making such good choices or making choices at a whim comes from a sense of clarity. And in this discussion, you have pointed out that you had a lot of clarity while growing up as well, while going to the US as well, and while working, starting your firm as well, that you want to work in the manufacturing part. What stems this clarity from? Where does this sense of clarity, you think, comes to you? And you're not born with clarity. It's something that you're just not born with.
Correct.
How do you think that someone can develop this kind of sense?
I think clarity, the way you are talking about, is a very, very acquired sense. It comes through a lot of factors. One of the major factors is going to be your upbringing. The second major factor is going to be your experience, like your personal experiences. The clarity that I have as far as my work is concerned is because I think also a lot of stubbornness that I have. I am not someone who makes a decision on an impulse. I do my research or I think out a situation, but once I have made a choice, I am pretty okay with the consequences that come along. I think that if you can look at the consequences and be okay with it, then clarity is very easy, because it's what you think, right, at that point in time, that something that could go right, you will benefit so and so. If something goes wrong, this is how it will harm you, or this is how it will push you back. And when you can take that pushing back in your stride, I think there's automatic clarity and you don't get bogged down with failure then. For one, it becomes your personality trait, right? So even people around you know that once you say something or once you are clear about something, you are not someone who's going to dilly-dally about it. And you always want those people to have your back, right? You would rather have a very mediocre but a very clear person having your back, rather than a very strong-willed person but with a very weak, clarity to have your back. So I think that personal life, all my relations have evolved over a period of time, knowing that this is the kind of person that I am, and it's worked in my favor. So with my friend circle, with my family, everywhere, and even in my work circle, people know that if he said that this will happen and this is how the product is going to be, that is how it is going to be. There will be no changes be made without your knowledge, and there will be no underhanding to you. No way. If at all, if I have committed to something and I'm not able to keep that, you will get a better product, but you will not get a negative product. So I think what happens is that once you have that experience with the client, that client stays for life. So I don't remember having a problem with any one of my clients except for the 2012 fiasco, where the client has had a problem with our products as far as quality is concerned, because it is just very upfront on our part that if something that cannot be done. It's very easy. If I tell you that I will be in Pune in 10 minutes from here, it cannot be done unless I start time traveling. So to make that claim, I should either be a time traveler or I should be just wanting your money, right? So that's the same case in our business as well. I have elders in my industry, right, whom I'm working with. Initially there was a lot of reluctance from their end when I used to tell them that, uncle, this cannot happen or this will not be possible, because it's always that way, right, that oh, we have had 40 years of experience and aaj ka ladka aake ye sab samjha raha hai. But when it happens, when it pulls through, then they do understand that there is some sense to whatever he's saying. Then you understand that, oh, this is how we can work around the designs, this is how we can work around the products, this is what we want. The ultimate is the output, right? And this is how we can go to that output from some other way as well. So then those people are for life. They are not clients anymore, they are family.
So, tell me something about this industry, the economy, where we are going. How do you think that this the Make in India part, helps or is conducive for industries or SMEs in India?
See, right now, because of the awareness that is being spread, the exposure that everyone has through social media and media channels and everything, we do see a lot of advertising and everything for Make in India. Honestly, technology wise, we might be up with the best, but the implementation of technology, we lag a lot. When you look at the European countries, if I talk about my field, then Germany, right, or China for that matter, they have been able to put this technology to use in a way where the output is just unbelievable. I think the Indian market is not yet there when it comes to implementation. We have the right brains, we have the right people. Having an idea and seeing an idea through are two different things. Absolutely. Having an idea is just a brainstroke. Seeing it through is a lot of hard work, and there are so many factors involved. I'm just hoping that with all the noise that is being made with Make in India, the government also kind of supports it the way it should be, because then I think 10-15 years down the line, we might be able to match up with what other countries are doing as far as implementation is concerned.
So when you talk about Make in India, I mean, tell me about how the landscape has changed from 2009 and to 2004. So manufacturing in 2009 would be much different than what it is today.
Yeah, of course. A lot of companies are now investing in India, right? So you're also bringing in technology. A simple thing like an iPhone was never made in India in 2009, but now we have plants in India which is making the iPhone. So with that advent, there is also a lot of influx of knowledge, technology, machinery, the technical know-how and the people who work on those things, right? So that's a very big plus. But having said that, all the government policies and the bureaucracy is still not in place, where it becomes super conducive to all the small players as well. a simple thing like we have heard about there being MSME loans, right? But those are not that transparent and that easy to get. If you look at other countries, when you start a manufacturing unit, you are given subsidies on power, water, rent, taxes, everything. There's nothing of that sort happening in India, even on a rural level, right? Leave alone the urban side, but even at the rural level, nothing is happening. A simple initiative like the number of people that you employ would bring down the percentage of your taxes, or we cut down your water taxes to this much, or your rent to this much, or we provide you land for this much, something like that. I think it would be so nice to have that kind of an incentive for people who want to stay here and make it work. It's that simple. You bring up more industries, you bring up more industrialists, more business people, more employment generation. It's a circle, and everything will fall into place. You just bring up the whole economy.
Right. So, 15 years into your journey, what would be your message be to people who are just starting up, or people who are very willing to start their own manufacturing?
I think the first thing that they need to do is do the research. I think people today are very, very aware of this thing. So I don't think that's a point that needs to be reiterated. The one thing that I think they would want to take care of is be ready to face the failure initially, because there will be setbacks. Everything is not going to be a smooth ride. Don't let it hamper your spirits. That's all, that will matter at the end of the day. You are going to keep getting hit. It's only how strong you come back, right? So if people everyone who's starting out, even at this age, if I were to start a new venture, it's going to come with its share of hurdles and obstacles. It's not going to be a smooth ride because it's a new thing. It's basically like birthing a baby, right? So there is going to be pain, there is going to be nausea, but the joy of having your baby in your hands is just unparalleled. That's the same with an industry. So there will be hurdles, but don't give up on them, right? Because you made a choice after educating yourself about everything that could happen, and beyond that, it's just time. Just give it time, and you will grow.
So thank you, Gaurav, and thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back with more insightful conversations with entrepreneurs who are really making in India.